Seniors, 7 household items to declutter on the journey to letting go and living lightly. Joshua Fields Millburn, in his best-selling book Love People, Use Things, Because the Opposite Never Works, redefines minimalism. He says it's not about stark white rooms with bare walls. It's about keeping what enhances your life and letting go of what doesn't. Minimalism isn't the absence of things, it's the presence of purpose. The average American home has around 300,000 items. That number is staggering, especially for older adults who've lived in the same place for decades. With age comes experience, wisdom, and often a lifetime of accumulated belongings. The result? At 72, Margaret Wilkins stood in the middle of her living room, surrounded by boxes of old books, clothes she hadn't worn in years, and knickknacks collected over 4 decades. Her children had moved out long ago, her husband had passed, and the house felt heavier than ever, not just emotionally, but physically. One day, she stumbled upon a podcast episode featuring Joshua Fields Millburn, co-author of Love People, Use Things. What he said struck a chord. Minimalism is not about deprivation, it's about intention. As we grow older, our needs change, but our belongings often stay the same. We keep just-in-case items that no longer serve us, making our homes cluttered and our minds clouded. Yet the golden years can truly be golden. Lighter, freer, more meaningful. If we embrace a minimalist lifestyle, not just for aesthetic reasons, but for emotional clarity and peace. This article is a guide for anyone over 70 who wants to simplify their space and life, with real stories from others who've done the same. You won't find strict rules here, just reflections, insights, and gentle encouragement to let go of what no longer serves you so that you can fully enjoy what does. If the idea of minimalism feels overwhelming, start small. You don't have to empty the attic in a day. Begin with 1 drawer, 1 shelf, or 1 room. Here are 7 categories that many experts recommend as starting points, with inspiring stories for each. 1. Outdated or unused furniture. As we age, comfort and safety should take center stage in our homes. Unfortunately, old and unused furniture can often work against us. Large, outdated pieces can overwhelm small rooms, block walking paths, and even pose serious tripping hazards. What may have once been a cherished part of your home, a rocking chair from the 1970s, a heavy china cabinet inherited decades ago, or a recliner with worn springs, might now be more burden than blessing. In many cases, we hold on to furniture not because we need it, but because we feel emotionally tied to it. That dining room hutch reminds us of Sunday dinners from 30 years ago, or the armchair in the corner belonged to a spouse who's no longer here. These emotional anchors can be hard to release. But sometimes, letting go doesn't mean forgetting. It means creating space for something new, like safety, mobility, and peace. Bill had gotten up early, as he always did, to make his morning coffee. As he walked into the living room, his foot caught the edge of an old footstool, one that had been around since the early 90s and no longer matched anything in the room. Down he went. The result? A fractured wrist and several painful weeks in a cast. That footstool had no real use anymore, Bill later said. I just never thought to get rid of it. It was always there. During his recovery, his daughter Jenna came to stay with him. She gently suggested that maybe it was time to look at the furniture more critically. Together, they went room by room, identifying pieces that were outdated, unstable, or simply never used. Out went the heavy coffee table that made walking around the living room a challenge. They donated an oversized armoire that blocked sunlight from the window. Bill parted with a squeaky recliner he hadn't sat in for years. And then something surprising happened. As the furniture left, light began to pour in. The room felt bigger, more open, and more peaceful. Inspired by the new space, Jenna helped Bill set up a small yoga and stretching area in one corner of the living room. It had a mat, a small side table with a plant, and a speaker for calming music. That never would have been possible with that bulky coffee table still there, Bill admitted with a chuckle. Now, every morning, he spends 15 minutes doing gentle stretches and deep breathing, something that not only helps his body feel better, but lifts his mood. The hidden hazards of hanging on. Beyond emotional attachment, many seniors don't realize just how much outdated furniture can get in the way, literally and figuratively. Wobbly chairs and tables can collapse unexpectedly. Sharp corners on old wooden desks can bruise fragile skin, and bulky pieces can narrow pathways, making it harder to navigate with a walker, cane, or just aging joints that need more room to move freely. More importantly, these obstacles create mental stress, even if we're not always aware of it. Cluttered spaces often lead to anxious minds. A room crowded with furniture can feel heavy, even when it's silent. Letting go of unused furniture is not about stripping away your identity. It's about preserving your safety and making room for the life you want to live now. And for many older adults like Bill, it can even be the beginning of something unexpected. A new chapter that's lighter, calmer, and filled with room to grow. 2. Clothes you no longer wear. Closets have a funny way of becoming time capsules. Over the years, they fill with outfits from holidays, weddings, vacations, and everyday moments that have long since passed. We hold on to sweaters that no longer fit, jackets we haven't worn in years, and shoes that pinch just a little too much, just in case. But in reality, most of us wear the same handful of comfortable, familiar clothes week after week. Keeping clothes that no longer serve us can take up more than physical space. It can stir up feelings of nostalgia, guilt, or even disappointment. Memories of a body that moved differently, or a time we wish we could return to. But releasing clothes that no longer fit our lifestyle or comfort needs can be an act of compassion, not loss. It's about dressing for who we are today, not who we were 10 or 20 years ago. At 76, Jean Miller was known for her vibrant style. She had once worked as a seamstress and took great pride in her wardrobe. Her closet was a rainbow of colors, patterns, and carefully folded scarves. But after a knee replacement surgery the previous year, Jean found herself mostly wearing soft pull-on pants and easy-to-button shirts. The elegant dresses and high heels she once adored now gathered dust. "I would open the closet and feel overwhelmed," she said. "So many beautiful things, but none of them were right for me anymore." One rainy afternoon, her niece Olivia visited and gently offered to help go through the closet together. They set up 3 piles: keep, donate, and remember. The remember pile was for pieces Jean loved but no longer wore. Olivia took photos of each item before they donated them to a local shelter for older women in need. "I kept a few pieces that still brought me joy, but I let go of so much that was just sitting there," Jean explained, "and it felt freeing." Afterward, Jean bought a few new pieces that suited her needs now, clothes that were soft, easy to put on, and still reflected her bold taste in color. Her closet went from being a storage unit of the past to a tool for the present. She now laughs, "I used to spend 20 minutes trying to find something to wear. Now I walk in, and it's all things I love and feel good in." The weight of unworn clothes. Clothing can carry emotional weight, even when we're not wearing it. A fancy coat from a formal event might bring back both joy and longing. A pair of jeans that hasn't fit in years can remind us of how our bodies have changed, sometimes painfully. But letting go of those pieces doesn't mean letting go of the memories. They live with us, not in the fabric. When your wardrobe reflects your current lifestyle, it becomes a source of comfort instead of stress. You deserve to reach into your closet and feel peace, not pressure. And more importantly, someone else may need those clothes more than you do, especially if they've been lovingly cared for over the years. Just like Jean, you might find that your wardrobe doesn't need to be big to be beautiful. It just needs to be yours, today, in this moment, honoring the person you are right now. 3. Expired medications. The medicine cabinet is one of the most overlooked places in the home. Over the years, it quietly fills with half-used prescriptions, expired bottles of cough syrup, outdated vitamins, and medications we no longer need. It's easy to forget how quickly these items can pile up, especially when we keep them just in case. But expired or unnecessary medications aren't just clutter. They can pose real dangers, from reduced effectiveness to serious health risks. Some medications lose their potency over time, while others can become harmful if taken past their expiration date. Accidental mix-ups, especially when labels are faded or bottles are unmarked, are more common than we might think. Regularly reviewing and clearing out the medicine cabinet is not just a matter of organization. It's a step toward safety, clarity, and better health. Dolores Jenkins had always been independent. At 82, she prided herself on managing her own medications, appointments, and prescriptions. But one evening, while battling a mild cold, she reached into her bathroom cabinet and took a decongestant that had been sitting there for years. By morning, Dolores was dizzy, disoriented, and struggling with her balance. Her daughter, Linda, rushed over and found her on the couch, confused and flushed. A quick trip to urgent care revealed the culprit, an expired medication that had interacted poorly with her current prescriptions. "It never crossed my mind that an old cold medicine could do that," Dolores later admitted. "I just thought, if it's still in the cabinet, it must be okay." After recovering, she and Linda spent the afternoon going through every shelf, drawer, and basket in the house. They tossed anything past its expiration date, reviewed active prescriptions with Dolores's pharmacist, and created a simple system: a labeled pill organizer and a small basket for daily use medications. Everything else, properly disposed of. "Now I know what I'm taking and why," Dolores said. "It feels like I'm back in control." A safer home, one bottle at a time. Medications are powerful tools for health, but they require care and attention, especially when prescriptions change or health conditions evolve. A cluttered cabinet can lead to confusion, especially if family members step in to help during emergencies. Proper disposal of expired medications is also important. Flushing them down the toilet or tossing them in the trash isn't always safe. Most pharmacies or community centers offer drop-off programs for safe medication disposal, an easy step that protects both people and the environment. It's not just about removing danger, it's about restoring peace of mind. When your medication space is clean, organized, and up to date, it supports your health journey instead of adding risk to it. Clearing out those old bottles is more than a housekeeping task. It's a message to yourself. My safety matters. My health matters. I deserve clarity. Just like Dolores, many find that this simple act of letting go creates room for a safer, more confident life. 4. Unused cosmetics. Cosmetics often hold memories of who we were and how we wanted to present ourselves to the world. A favorite lipstick for family gatherings, a special blush for Sunday church, a perfume that reminded us of springtime in our youth. These small items can carry big emotions. But over time, many of these products go unused, quietly collecting dust in drawers and bathroom cabinets. What many people don't realize is that cosmetics, just like food and medication, expire. Old makeup can harbor bacteria, dry out, or become irritating to the skin. That eyeshadow you haven't touched in 5 years? It might not be safe anymore. The lotion from the back of the cabinet? Probably not as gentle as it once was. Keeping a tidy, simple collection of products that suit your skin today, not your skin 30 years ago, can make your daily routine feel more refreshing and joyful. Gloria Patterson had always loved a good beauty ritual. At 75, she still started her mornings with a warm washcloth, a dab of moisturizer, and her favorite cherry-colored lipstick. Her vanity table was filled with dozens of items collected over the decades, some gifts, some forgotten purchases, and a few old favorites she couldn't part with. One afternoon, while tidying up before her granddaughter's visit, Gloria opened a drawer and realized she had no idea what half the labels said anymore. Tiny tubes with faded print, powders long since cracked, lipsticks worn down to the base. "I realized I was holding on to things I no longer used or even needed," she said. "Some of them were from when I was still working in the city." Her granddaughter Zoe suggested they go through it together. They turned on music, made tea, and sat down with a garbage bag and a fresh notepad. One by one, they checked expiration dates, tested colors, and set aside only the products Gloria truly loved. Then came the fun part, shopping for a few updated essentials: a gentle cleanser for sensitive skin, a lightweight moisturizer with SPF, a soft rose lipstick that matched Gloria's current natural glow. "When I look in the mirror now," Gloria smiled, "I see me, not someone I was trying to keep being." The confidence of simplicity. Beauty doesn't have to be complicated or expensive. In fact, many find that simplifying their collection helps them feel more in touch with their daily routines. No more fumbling through drawers or wondering if a product is still safe. Just a few trusted items that feel right for who you are today. Unused cosmetics can also contribute to unnecessary clutter and even low-level stress. Cleaning out your beauty products is an act of self-respect. It shows that you're still paying attention to your needs, your health, and your confidence. Just like Gloria discovered, less can truly be more. With fewer, safer, and more meaningful items on the vanity, each morning becomes an opportunity to care for yourself with clarity and ease. 5. Old papers, books, and magazines. Stacks of papers, aging magazines, and shelves of books often seem harmless. After all, they're not noisy, they don't take up much space individually, and sometimes they even feel like old friends. But over time, they pile up. Tax forms from a decade ago, warranty papers for appliances that no longer work, magazines you meant to read someday, and books that haven't been touched in years. The truth is, old paper clutter can quietly drain your energy. It creates a sense of unfinished business, a feeling that something still needs to be read, sorted, or filed. For many older adults, these piles are also tied to memory. The news clippings from a child's graduation, the book gifted by a friend long gone, the yellowed envelope with a handwriting you still recognize. But when paper begins to outlive its purpose, it stops being meaningful and starts being burdensome. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting. It simply means choosing space and peace over weight and dust. Walter Benson, 81, had always been a reader. A retired history teacher, his home reflected a life filled with words. Shelves lined his living room, bedroom, and hallway. There were books on Roman emperors, jazz legends, military history, and hundreds of issues of National Geographic, going back to the 1970s. When his daughter, Caroline, came to visit one fall, she noticed Walter seemed a bit more tired than usual. "I'm just trying to find that letter from the VA," he muttered, shuffling through one of the many paper piles on his dining table. After a few hours of fruitless searching, Caroline gently suggested they sort through the papers together. "You might be surprised how good it feels to clear some of this out," she said. Reluctantly, Walter agreed. What started as a plan to find one letter turned into a 2-day journey. They recycled dozens of old magazines, shredded paperwork that was no longer necessary, and boxed up books for donation to the local library. But Caroline had another idea too. She helped Walter create a memory box, a small wooden trunk filled with handwritten letters, old postcards, and a few first editions that meant the most to him. "I didn't lose anything important," Walter reflected, "but I gained space, and honestly, I can breathe easier now." He now keeps only a small shelf of books near his favorite reading chair. "I actually read them now," he said with a wink, "instead of just looking at them." Simplifying your paper and book collection is an act of love, for your peace of mind, for your family, and for the space you live in. Important documents can be filed in one easy-to-access folder. Books that still speak to you can have a place of honor, and cherished memories can be preserved without being buried. Letting go of paper doesn't erase the past, it helps highlight what truly matters from it. Just like Walter discovered, it's possible to honor your love of reading, history, and family stories while still clearing space for today. 6. Unused kitchen items. The kitchen, often called the heart of the home, can easily become cluttered with gadgets, utensils, and cookware that no longer serve a purpose. Over time, we accumulate things, some gifts, some impulse buys, that end up buried in drawers or pushed to the back of cupboards. Whether it's the fondue set you've never used, the slow cooker that was a gift last Christmas, or a collection of mismatched lids that no longer fit anything, unused kitchen items take up valuable space. For many older adults, the kitchen is a space they continue to use every day, whether for cooking, baking, or simply enjoying a cup of tea. But when a kitchen is overstuffed with unused items, it can become less of a joyful gathering place and more of a source of stress. Sorting through what's necessary and what's taking up space can make meal prep simpler, safer, and more enjoyable. Margaret Lee, 79, had always loved cooking. Her kitchen was filled with family recipes, treasured cookware passed down from her mother, and an assortment of gadgets she had accumulated over the years. But one afternoon, as she tried to make a simple pot of soup, she found herself frustrated by the clutter. A stack of unused blender attachments, a juicer she'd never learned to use, and an overflowing drawer of mismatched measuring cups were making it difficult to find the items she actually needed. Every time I tried to make something, I felt like I was hunting for the right tool, Margaret admitted. I realized I was spending more time digging through drawers than actually enjoying cooking. With the help of her daughter, Ellen, Margaret took a Saturday afternoon to clear out her kitchen. They started by sorting through the gadgets that had long been forgotten. Items like the bread maker she had used once but never again, the pancake dispenser that wasn't as practical as it seemed, and several extra cutting boards taking up precious counter space. Once the clutter was gone, Margaret was amazed at how much easier it was to move around the kitchen. She now had a small collection of tools she actually loved and used: a sharp knife, a sturdy cutting board, her mother's cast iron skillet, and a small food processor for chopping vegetables. "I didn't realize how freeing it would feel to only keep what I use," Margaret said, smiling. "Cooking is fun again." Letting go of unused kitchen items is not just about organizing. It's about making the space work for you. When the counter is clear, the drawers are organized, and only the tools you truly need remain, cooking becomes a simpler, more enjoyable experience. It's also about safety. Unused appliances can clutter countertops, creating trip hazards. Piles of plates, bowls, and utensils can get in the way when you're preparing a meal. Keeping only what you need ensures that every movement is easier and safer. And as Margaret found out, clearing out old items can make room for new, meaningful experiences. A kitchen free of unnecessary clutter invites creativity, spontaneity, and enjoyment, whether you're making a new recipe or simply enjoying a cup of tea in peace. 7. Sentimental items with no practical use. Sentimental items are often the hardest to part with. They hold memories of special moments, loved ones, and life's milestones, things that feel irreplaceable. Old wedding photos, children's drawings, souvenirs from memorable trips, and keepsakes from a life well lived can carry deep emotional value. But as time goes on, these treasures accumulate, and what once felt like meaningful reminders can start to feel like a heavy load. The challenge with sentimental items is that, while they may hold emotional significance, they often no longer serve a practical purpose. A box of old letters from friends who have passed, or a drawer full of trinkets from past vacations, may take up space but fail to add value to your everyday life. The process of letting go doesn't mean forgetting. It's about choosing to keep what truly enhances your life today, while preserving the memories in a way that is more manageable and intentional. And sometimes, rediscovering a few meaningful keepsakes can help you reflect on your journey and celebrate how far you've come. Dorothy Turner, 82, had lived in her charming cottage for over 40 years. Throughout the house were scattered keepsakes, framed family portraits, childhood mementos from her children, and an assortment of souvenirs from her and her late husband's many travels. While these items brought her joy, they also took up much of her living space. "I used to feel surrounded by my past," Dorothy reflected. "But as I got older, I noticed it started to feel less like a home and more like a museum of memories." Dorothy's son, Thomas, visited her one afternoon and noticed she seemed a little overwhelmed by the piles of keepsakes around her. "Mom, how about we go through these and see which ones still bring you joy?" he suggested. With Thomas's help, Dorothy spent the next few weekends sorting through the memorabilia. They reminisced about the items, sharing stories and laughter along the way. A painting of the Grand Canyon from their honeymoon, a small vase from a trip to Italy, and a few handwritten letters from her mother. These were the items that meant the most to Dorothy, and she felt no hesitation in keeping them. But other items, old postcards from places she'd never returned to, stacks of worn-out greeting cards, and a few trinkets she had no clear memory of, were easier to let go of. Dorothy realized that she didn't need to keep everything to remember the love and joy those things once represented. "I don't need to hold on to everything," she said with a smile. "I can hold the memories in my heart and let the rest go." With the help of her family, Dorothy created a small memory box. It holds the most meaningful items, carefully chosen and beautifully preserved, so they can be enjoyed without cluttering up her home. The rest were donated or recycled, giving Dorothy the space to breathe and enjoy the present. Letting go of sentimental items doesn't mean abandoning your past. It's about simplifying your surroundings while still holding on to what is truly important. By choosing to preserve only the items that evoke the strongest memories or emotions, you can make room for new experiences and create a home that reflects who you are today. For Dorothy, clearing out her sentimental items was a way to honor her past while embracing the present. She was able to enjoy the memories without feeling weighed down by them. Her home felt lighter, and every item she kept had a special place in her heart and her home. In the quiet of our later years, when the noise of life begins to settle, we are given a rare and precious opportunity, the chance to decide what truly matters. Minimalism at its heart is not about giving things up. It's about making room. Room for movement, for breathing, for meaning. Room for laughter with loved ones, morning stretches in a sunlit corner, or the comfort of finding exactly what you need when you need it. Throughout this journey, we've seen how something as simple as letting go of an old chair or clearing a cluttered drawer can spark something profound. Bill found safety and a new morning ritual in his decluttered living room. Margaret rediscovered her love of cooking. Dorothy honored her past by choosing only the memories that still lit up her heart. These stories are not about loss, they're about freedom. At over 70, you've earned the right to live with ease. To walk through your home without stepping over the past. To open a drawer and see space, not confusion. To look around and feel peace, not pressure. This chapter of life is not about accumulation, it's about clarity, intention, and joy. Minimalism invites us to simplify not because we must, but because we can. Because in doing so, we gain more than space. We gain the gift of presence. The quiet beauty of a home that serves us, not burdens us. The calm that comes from knowing everything you keep has a purpose and a story that still speaks to you. So let this be a gentle invitation, not to let go of what matters, but to hold on to only what still matters. To make your home a reflection not of who you were, but of who you are now and who you are becoming. The best chapters are still being written, and sometimes they need just a little more room to unfold.